Less than 9% of businesses, small businesses in America, less than 9% of small businesses in America make $1 million a year in revenue. All small businesses in America. And so when you reach that feat, it is a big freaking deal. So with that being said, I'd love to have some of those big freaking deals on stage right now. So if I can first have Irene Ruda, the most successful female loan signing system student that we have. Give me a hug, girl. I'm so proud of you. Yes. Yes. With almost 1.5 million in revenue. That's a big deal. And then the next person that we have coming on stage with $1.5 million in revenue and is the second most successful LSS student we have in gross revenue. And that is Brad Martin from the DMV. Brad Martin. The kind that only comes from And then we have another student who hit 1 million to crack that moment. And she's out of Sacramento, California, Chenelle Hernandez. Tell them everything is gonna be all right.
Before I started as a loan signing system student, I was making about $60,000 a year. And I got into this business hoping to make an extra $500 a month. And my very first month as a notary signing agent, I made over $800. And that's when I knew that this business was something that could literally change my life and the life of my family.
Love it. Brad, real quick, where you were, where you are, and so inspire.
So I was a restaurant general manager for 22 years, making about the same, 60, 65K, not seeing my wife and my daughter every weekend, every evening, all holidays. And I'm very blessed and thankful I found your YouTube ad and I took your course, and now I spend a lot of time at home with my family, and so grateful to have that opportunity.
Love it. And yes. Chenelle.
I've had a few different chapters. I had the 6-year stay-at-home mom chapter, going through surgeries and taking care of the babies. Tired of that. The only thing I knew to do was go back to work as a waitress, where I was earning $2.14 an hour. And later that year, I found the loan signing system. It didn't take long to get tired of 2 restaurants and a construction job all at the same time to try to make ends meet.
I love it. And I wanted to share it real quick because everyone, yes. I wanted them to briefly share so you can see that $1 million notaries come from all different backgrounds, all different shapes, sizes, ethnicities. Like, it's just about your effort and your mindset, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So let's go with you, Irene. You know, how does it feel that you own $1 million a year revenue business?
It's surreal. I remember quitting my job 7 months after I took my very first loan signing. And early on, I had a signing service owner tell me that I would never make 6 figures in this business. And that once he found out what course I took, he told me that Mark Wills was selling me a dream. Wow. And Mark, I gotta say that he was right. You did sell me a dream.
So good.
Because that dream became my reality. And my very first year, I made 6 figures. And now, 6 years later, I'm on this frickin' panel. Like, how frickin' amazing is that? So thank you, Mark, for selling me that dream.
You're
Thank
so
you.
welcome. You're making me cry. How do you feel, Brad?
Similar answer. Very surreal. I would say it doesn't really hit you, just like when you first interviewed me in February 2021, I think I did like $15,000 or $17,000 a month or something crazy. And you asked me that question, I'm like, I can't compute it yet. It's the same thing. Like, I'm here, and literally a year ago, I was like, I need to be here, and we'll talk about that later. But I'm just so, like I said before, blessed to be here, and thankful that I have so much more time with my family, because where I was, living paycheck to paycheck, having debt to my eyeballs, and now having multiple vacation rental properties and different assets and a thriving business and making an impact on a lot of other people's lives. It is crazy how far we've come in 4 years, and I appreciate you.
You're welcome. But I loved what you said there, and with Irene, I just feel the emotions in both your statements, and just so proud of you both. Chenelle, let's...
If Mark Wills is selling a dream, I'm buying it every time. Every time he puts out a new dream, I'm going to buy that one too. Just going to say, it feels humbling. Blessed is an understatement. Mm-hmm. I just know now, that no matter what happens, if I had to, I could start from scratch and do it again.
Mm. Thank you, and I felt that
feels
too.
Secure.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Irene, starting with you. When did you have this realization that $1 million year business was like a real, tangible possibility?
In 2023, I sat in this very audience, and I saw Harvin Darville up on this stage, and they were talking about the mindset of $1 million business. And at that time, I did not think that would be me. I felt something, and Chenelle, you're gonna make me so emotional, but I knew that could be me. Mm-hmm. And I went home and I worked my ass off to get to where I'm at. And I did not stop. I told my son, Ryan, I'm gonna hit that. I'm gonna be up on that stage, and nothing's gonna stop me. I'm gonna do what I have to do, and here I am.
Brad, same question. Did you realize that $1 million was like a real, tangible possibility?
So the short answer is when we did $100,000 for the first month, and I realized, like, oh my God, this is something you can do in a month. And then I realized, like, you could probably do this in a week, and then but that's a different conversation about limits. But the long answer is the same answer Irene had. Last conference, was very kind to have lunch with me, and we just talked about I just asked her, what does your normal day look like? And what I realized after talking with her is it's the same as mine. The only difference was that she said that she did 0 signings for her clients anymore, and I was still doing 80. So she just said, stop doing signings. And I did, and now I'm sitting here. Thank you. I needed somebody that was not in my business to show me that massive blind spot. In the last 2 days, I've talked with signing service owners that do both at the same time, and I've told them the same exact advice, and my hope is that you take it and make that change, and you're here next year.
Love it. Chenelle, when did you feel like it was possible?
I knew it was possible when I was in the audience right over there with my friend Brad next to me and my friend Calvin on this stage. I literally knew in that moment that it was possible and that my goals had been way too small.
Yep.
It was that moment.
And I wanted to ask that for you to hear. When you thrive and you see abundance, it's when you see someone else do it, you know that you can. Some of you guys see someone who does it and you think, there's no way I could be that. But that didn't go through their minds last year. And so I wanted to bring that to the forefront because you need to see this as what's possible. And that's literally what they did. And I didn't ask this question, but just knowing you guys so well, I think you grew almost 100% year over year. Same with you. So last year they're, at 500,000, 600,000, 500,000 and now. And so they had 100% growth in 12 months.
Sure.
So all of you guys can have 100% growth in 12 months if You did what Brad said. It's like we're going to talk about in this moment, but just get to work. So thank you guys for answering that so perfectly. So to inspire some people, the next question I want you guys to answer is how many years as an everyday signing agent before you transferred over to an SS owner? So they can kind of get a timeline of kind of when you made the jump to see maybe that inspires them.
Yeah, so I became a notary signing agent in 2018. I didn't take my very first signing until 2019, about 6 months after I took the course. And after that, I did not build my signing service until 2021, and I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. I was scared, and I just didn't feel that it was possible for me. But then being on that loan signing system page, the Six Figures group, it inspired me so much because once again, I saw Melina building a signing service. I saw Calvin building a signing service and Bill Zuniga. And that's when I realized, you know what, I need to do more. And then I had my mentor, Mark Wills, telling me, why haven't you opened up your signing service? And he kept asking me that, like, you can do this. And finally, I just did. And he was right. I could do this. And I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. So if you're thinking about it, just do it.
Brad, same question.
So I started, my first signing was October of 2020, so COVID boom for sure. Ton of signings. I was turning down signings to my clients in February, and I had a lot of overflow. I was starting to farm things out locally, which I realized was a headache. And I said, let me capitalize on this. I took your How to Start a Signing Service course. It's kind of you don't advertise it as much, but it's there. For those of you who are thinking about starting it, highly recommend. It will cover a ton of the basics to get set up. But I started in March 10th, the day before my son was born, because I knew I was not going to be on the road for at least a month, and I needed something on the side to do that. So that was kind of the impetus of that. And so it's been almost 4 years now.
Same question with you, Chenelle. How long?
Yeah, I got my notary commission in the state of Georgia in 2019. So my first ambassador was Miss Deborah Smith Owens, and being an ambassador with her is something I never could have imagined. I moved back home to California in the middle of 2020, got my commission here. It took a little while because it was COVID. So October 19, I started doing signings here, October 2020. And then by May of 21, I was nationwide.
There you go. So you got the timeline for some of you veteran signing agents or newbies who are like, okay, what to do. So let's get into some mindset questions now, okay? Let's start with you, Irene. How big do you want to go? Second to that, I want you to answer, what makes you think that big?
I want to be the largest signing service in the U.S. And what makes me think big is going to conferences like this and seeing people like Calvin giving that keynote speech earlier this morning. Like, that inspired me, and it does fuel your fire, like it fuels you. And when I realized that I could be the biggest signing service was back in 2021. My son Ryan came up to me after he graduated from high school. And Ryan, a lot of you guys have met him. He's a notary every day out in the booth. And I thought when he graduated from high school that he was going to go after his older brother's footsteps as a software engineer. But instead, he sat me and my husband down and told me that he wanted to get into the family business. And at that time, it was just me and my husband. And that's when I realized that I'm not just building a legacy for myself, I'm building a legacy for my family, my grandchildren, and I'm an inspiration to them. And they're seeing that if I can do it, they can definitely do it. So this business isn't just about revenue. It's about creating something that outlives me and inspires others to dream big.
So I'm just going to say this out loud, even though I wrote it down on the goals sheet. But if I say it out loud, I know it's being recorded in front of 1,000 people. It will help me with accountability. So we will do $10 million in revenue this year. That is my goal. And I would like to be the first speaker on your 8-figure panel next year.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. The reason I want to grow it that big is as Irene talked about, legacy. And no one is rich in my family. No one has ever been rich in my family. And it'd be pretty cool if I was the first guy that could leave not only a lot of properties and wealth and assets, but I could be the first person that could teach my kids everything I didn't learn in high school. That entire slide, I would have killed to learn that at a young age. I didn't learn it until I was in my late 30s. And I started this business at 38. But I would love to leave something tremendous, both from the knowledge piece as well as the asset piece to my family and my kids. And that is really what helps. And I will talk about motivation later, but that is really what drives me on the days I don't want to get uncomfortable, is knowing I shouldn't disappoint them or myself. And then when I'm 80 and I kick the bucket and I can look back and be like, I did not leave anything on the field, or I left it all on the field. I did not settle.
Chenelle, for you.
I do believe now, I know now that we can do $10 million in revenue. I thought it would take about 5 years, but what Brad just said means I have to do it this year because my goal on the board is to beat Brad Martin.
Accountability. You need accountability.
LFG.
Why? Why do I want to go so big? I went and had 5 whole babies. Whole entire babies. I want them to not stress the way that I have as they've grown up before I found this business. I want them to hear $1 million in revenue like the way we heard $100,000 growing up. That it's normal, it's a baseline. We're gonna normalize running 7-figure companies, multiple in our family. We're gonna normalize going straight into home ownership. And there's just so much less types of suffering they'll have to encounter if we can set that up for them. Life will have its challenges, but if we do our part, then they'll have more mental bandwidth to just deal with the emotional part and the step-by-step when things happen in their life.
You know, the reason I asked that question is there was no hesitation. I want to be the largest signing service in America. I want to do 10 million. I want to be bigger than Brad. This is the mindset. Did that land? No hesitation. And what I loved about what you said, Chenelle, is I want to normalize 7 figures is the lowest level, right? That's the baseline of what a business should be. And I'm hoping you guys are understanding that you got to think bigger to get bigger. The problem is some of you guys are afraid to dream big because you're worried about what if you miss it. You got to dream big knowing that you're going to hit it. And that's what these 3 people have said perfectly. So you have a dream. Whoa, let's go. Whoa, whoa. You just talked about you want to be the biggest signing service in America. And so my follow-up question to you and through you is, how long are you willing to go to get this goal and why?
There's no finish line for me. Every time I reach a goal, I'm going to set a higher one. And I'm in this for the long haul because growth for me, it's a lifelong journey. And I don't want to just hit milestones. I want to keep redefining what is possible. And like I said, I want to inspire others to do the same. And even more than that, I want to inspire my family. I'm a first-generation Mexican American, and my mom was a migrant worker. She started in the fields when she was like 7 or 8 years old and didn't graduate high school. My dad came from Mexico, and I know that what Mark said yesterday really hit home about breaking generational curses, because that's what I'm doing. And I'm breaking those generational curses because I am teaching my children that being an entrepreneur, it's the only way to go. It's what's going to fuel them, and it's what's going to make them successful humans. And I will be breaking that generational curse, and they are going to be successful because they're going to see their mom being successful.
Let's go. What I want to unpack real quick, my favorite line you just said, there is no finish line. Yeah. And so many of you guys set goals, and it's like, oh, I didn't hit it this month, you just give up. Like, there's no finish line. If it takes her 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, like, that's the mentality of a successful business owner. Like, I'm like, when I asked her this question in the pre-interview, she's like, there's no finish line, Mark. Like, I'm just going to keep. And so, again, I'm trying to inspire you with the way they think, so you can think the same. Brad, how far you want to go? How long will it take? You go.
I'll tell you the same answer. I'll tell you that I told you when you interviewed me in February 2021. There is no plan B, and it will, as long as it freaking takes to get there, I will get there. And then when I get there, I'm going to celebrate and set another higher, bigger, massive goal. I'm not going to settle, and I'm not going to go back to working for someone else ever again. If you don't feel that from me, let me tell you, that will never happen again. I've done that enough. I've worked for someone else's dream for 22 years. I'm going to build mine for 22 years, and we'll see where that takes us.
Let's go. You know, what I have in my notes with us, Brad, is, I asked this question, and we do all the pre-interviews, and he goes, I'm reading right here, and he goes, well, Mark, I know I can grow my company to 20, 50, or $100 million with enough time. And he just said that so matter-of-factly. I mean, he's just like, well, Mark, it's 20, 30, 100 million, just a matter of time. Like, I want you guys to hear this is how they think. It's your limiting beliefs that make you believe you can't get to 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month. And so thank you for that. Chenelle, same question.
As long as it takes, baby. Let's go. Right? Why? Why am I willing to go as long as it takes? I've been to the valley of despair. I've been there with surgeries. I've been there being broke. I've been to the valley with depression, right? But I know what's on the other side. I know over here, every time is success. Success is waiting on the other side of the valley. I already know that. I've already been there. So I can go as long as it takes.
Oh, let's go. Okay, so Irene, back to you. What makes you believe, you just said I'm going to be the biggest signing service in America, right? What makes you believe that you can be bigger than any other LSS ambassador, bigger than Coast to Coast, bigger than Signature Closers? Like, what gives you that belief you could actually be bigger than these companies that are currently doing multi seven figures?
What makes me believe is that I know I'm the best, and I will outrun anybody and run circles around them. And I know I can grow because it's in me. And being a Latina, I know I keep saying I'm a Latina, but that's what's rooted in me. And it just gives me a unique perspective. And I always get super emotional. Okay, sorry about that.
Get emotional, it's family.
Okay.
So Mark had mentioned 7% of business owners make $1 million in revenue. It's less for Latinos. 2% of Latino business owners make $1 million in revenue. And then it's even less for Latina business owners. There's not even anything out there that says how much Latina business owners make. So I don't know if it's 0.5%, and
it's powerful.
It is. And being a Latina business owner, that's what I see when I look in the mirror. I'm a Latina. I'm a very proud Latina business owner, and I want to be part of that 7%, part of that 2%. And I am so excited because I never, ever thought I would be here. And like I said earlier, Mark Will sold me a dream, and it's the American dream. So thank you, Mark Will.
As we were having this earlier conversation, I have a note here that I loved you say, because I thought this quote that you said was incredible. And that is, so I'm saying, well, Irene, what makes you think you can be bigger? And she goes, I believe that success isn't just about being big, it's about being better.
Yes. Yes.
So, profound on that, pontificate on that.
So it's not just about revenue, it's about being better than that signing service. And how can I be better is, sorry.
Okay. But what I thought was when we were having this conversation, Irene, like, bigger comes with better. And so it almost wasn't like she was focusing on the money in this question or the size. And what I loved about the mindset, Irene, was like, if I just do better than everybody else, I will naturally make more than everybody else.
Yes.
And I thought that mindset was like, oh, snap, that was great. And so it's not about being bigger, it's about being better, because if you're better, bigger comes. Yes. And when you talk through that with me, I'm just like, oh, wow, that people need to hear that, because I was just like, that's such a good line. And so she's like, I just focus on being better.
Yes.
And I focus on being better. Go, please.
And I focus also on not only being better, but being better than I was yesterday, being better than I was last year. And every year I am getting better, and my business is getting bigger. And it is because I feel that I am the best out there, so I know that I'm going to get that business.
Same question with you, Brad. There's bigger signing services out there. You got BankServe, you got all the big boys. What makes you believe that you can be bigger than them?
So just like we watched Melina and Calvin on the stage the last conference, that was the aha moment for us to realize, like, okay, clearly it's possible. Other people have achieved it. If Signature closes at 30 million, there's no reason for me to not think I can get there. And the only reason I would not think I could get there is if I put a belief that I can't get that big. And that's not going to happen, especially after we spoke to that former Navy SEAL on Thursday. And that's just like so eye-opening that we keep putting more and more and more limits on what we think we can do. We get to another plateau and, okay, it's not possible to go to 10 million. Maybe I can get to 2 or 3. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, referring to my notes, like, I am not going to fail because of a lack of effort. I think I said that the first time I spoke with you. And it will always be the same. I'm going to continue to grind and continue to work until I get where I want to get, because what's the other option? Like, my kids are disappointed, or I'm disappointed in myself. So, yes, I'm not worried about SnapDocs, Calvin, these ladies, no disrespect, but I would blow them away.
In our notes, what I want to recap, I think as powerful as Irene's was, you said something I thought was really interesting, and there's 2 points you made that I have in our notes. You said, this is Brad, okay, so making sure it's Brad, that you said competition is healthy and needed, and then you said there's plenty of market share to grab if you're willing to do what your competition isn't. Let's focus on this idea there's plenty of market share to grab. What do you mean by that?
So, and this might be a different question later, but there's probably 200-300 million plus in closings every single year. To think that you could max out at 100,000 a year, or $1 million a year, or $5 million a year, like, there's so much out there, but most people are not willing to continue to do it long enough to try and continue to get better. And as Irene said, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I working harder? Am I hitting goals? Or did I settle? Am I getting complacent? Okay, I leveled up to 100,000. Am I taking my foot off the gas? Am I chilling, or am I still getting after it? So competition is very healthy, but like you said yesterday, it's not a zero-sum game. We can all thrive in this room easily and still not even be 10% of the market.
That's
You're
right.
You're not each other's competition.
That's right.
You are your only competition.
That's right.
That's it.
So what he said there, and I really want to unpack that because I want everyone to hear it. It's like when he had this conversation with me, he's like, Mark, if I got 10% of the market share, I'm bigger than signature closers. He understands that it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like he understands the vastness of opportunity. Some of you guys email me, Mark, there's already a notary in their office. I'm like, they were in business before you walked in. But he realizes that like every person in here can have a $10 million a year business.
100%. Just
because he has a $10 million a year business doesn't mean you can't. But a lot of people think in a zero-sum game. You're thinking, well, I can only be the notary where I live that makes $100,000 a year. And he's like, well, Mark, like, I think what you said specifically, I get like 2% market share of all closings in America. I'm at $10 million.
Yeah.
And again, that's the abundance mindset. You know, in wherever you live, there's, 40,000 closings going on a month collectively. And you're worried about everybody else. He's like, I get 2%. I'm at 10 million. Does that make sense the way he thinks? And he said it best, it's not a zero-sum game because he makes 10 million doesn't mean that Irene can't make 10 million or Chenelle can't. He's like, there's room for all of us to make 10 million.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. And that's the way so when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, so good. Okay, Chenelle, same question. What do you think you can be bigger than signature closers, whoever the big boys are?
Mark, I just don't really see competition that way. Competition isn't scary or intimidating. I know that when I walk into a title office or they get referred to me, it's because I'm the best they've ever met. There's nobody else that's gonna fall all over themselves to fix something or make their deal close on time. I'm just the best because I care more, I'm more passionate. I don't see it in the same terms, like that's my competition. Again, like Brad said, a little competition is healthy. It's more of an accountability thing between he and I, and it's not a scary thing. It's more of what's possible. Shows you what's possible.
You know what I mean? They both said the same thing, so let's unpack that. Competition is healthy. You feel like you're in competition with every notary in your neighborhood. Well, they're like, great, that makes me work harder. That makes me be better in customer service. You get frustrated that you walk in. I know some of you guys, it used to be me. I walk into the break room at an escrow company and there's another donut with someone else's notary business card. And it was like, you more. That's right, we've been there, right? But that's the scarcity mindset. Then I had a transition. That like, it's great there's donuts from another notary because there's enough business in this title office that we can all win. And because now I see there's another notary in the office, I got to outperform that notary. And so that's the mindset they're talking about right now. It's like, great, there's so many amazing signing service owners in here. And that's a healthy competition. It makes me be better at what I do. It's not a negative that there's other people out trying to do what you do. And that's where sometimes you guys think like that who aren't here yet. You think it's a negative there's other notaries where you live. And so, no, they're up-leveling my game so I can be better for my clients. And if I'm better for my clients, I get more business. So you both said, Sam, that's one unpacked. That was great work. So let's go back to you, Irene. I want to know the mindset. You walk into a title company when you're marketing, and you know full well they're using someone else's another signing service, right? So we all in the same game here. We're walking to a title company. We know there's a notary in there. So why doesn't that deter you? Or what do you think is probably a better way of saying it, knowing that they do that and take it from there?
Yesterday, or actually was it this morning or yesterday, I can't remember, you played a song by Kendrick Lamar. So in the words of Kendrick Lamar, they not like us. So when I walk into a title company, I know I'm not just offering another signing service. I'm presenting the best signing service that they've ever worked with in this industry. And we don't just meet expectations, we redefine what is exceptional service. And the way I look at it is if you guys want to work with the best, you're going to work with us. So that's the mindset that I have, like, they not like us.
Oh, good. Brad, same question. That makes you believe. Or what's the mindset's a better word of when you walk in, knowing full well they use somebody else?
It's going to be very similar. again, no offense to anyone on the stage currently, but I have the best signing service in America, and it's my job to walk in there because they don't know what they're missing yet. And I thought the same thing as a signing agent. If I don't go in there, they could potentially be the best client I will ever have. They could be my best friend. They could be a connection I'll have the rest of my life. But I'll never know if I don't get over my nerves in my car, get off my butt, and walk in there and introduce myself and follow up religiously every week. So we're the best, but I'm doing them a disservice by not introducing myself and letting them know I can change their business tomorrow by them working with us.
Let's unpack. Yeah, I heard a clap. And I think business is easy to scale when it clicks that you're doing a disservice by not letting them know that you're open.
It's like the no soliciting on the door.
Yeah.
That's a suggestion, people. Do not let that stop you. You're not soliciting. You are adding tremendous value by introducing yourself and your service to them, okay?
And so, because some of you, and then that's when marketing no longer becomes annoying. It no longer is like, am I going to annoy them by coming in 3 days a week? It's when you realize that what I do is the best you can get, and then you cross that mental hurdle. It's like, I truly feel I'm the best option for notary training in America. Like, that's what I believe here. And I believe I'm doing a disservice, thank you. But the point is saying that it's the mindset. I'm not annoying people with my 4,000 Facebook ads. Like, I'm actually failed you. When I meet a notary out in the world and they're like, I don't know who you are, I'm like, I failed. That's what I feel like. And that's what he's saying. It's like, I failed your title company by letting you know that I am ready and able to take your work. And that's the mindset you need to get into. Chenelle, same question.
Yeah, I know that when I walk into a title company, I have the best signing service they've ever encountered because I have the best notaries. I have the best notary trainer, and I have the best notaries. A lot of you guys are here. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to me. I am the best signing service owner because I'm committed. I'm the best because I'm service-minded. Everything I do is to try to serve my notaries better, try to serve my clients better, to remain the best.
So I just want to take a moment to unpack what they all three said. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. They all three said that. And the fact of the matter, it doesn't matter if you're the best. It matters what you believe. Did that land? Yeah. You need to believe you are the best. It's not relative if you are or not. It's just relative to whether you believe it. And the three of them absolutely believe it to the core. The other big earners, you're going to hear the exact same thing. It's not a zero-sum game. We can all be the best. And so you need to drop into this mindset of like, I asked them all three the same question in a pre-interview. Well, because like I'm the best. And I'm like, perfect. That's what you need to learn. And let me end with this. It's not arrogant to say you're the best. Okay, what I hope you heard from the three of them is they said I'm the best, and then they said why. So when you believe in what you provide, that is what gives you, you're not arrogant, you're confident. And that's what they're saying, and that's what you want to make sure you're picking up on that. So let's go into how many clients. So you did 1.2 million, am I correct with that?
Yes.
Okay, I got a lot of numbers in my head. So you did $1.2 million last year in gross revenue. How many clients, how many separate clients did you have that fed you that 1.2?
76.
76 clients. How many clients did you have to talk to, prospective clients, people you have to mark to, humans you got to get in front of to get to that 76? How many?